Does he not have... There's his low power mode. Thank you. My God.
neighbor, tell your neighbor, when they say they start on time, we're not kidding. Our Reverend Jones walked in just at the right time. We're about to get started. Please be seated. Please be seated. Please be seated. And please tell your neighbor, we have a long program, and I want to make sure we get started on time and we end on time. This meeting is so important. So as you tell your neighbor again, really want to get started. This particular meeting being live streamed as we get started. So for those individuals who are watching live stream, wish to ask a question, they can do so, and we'll take it off of the chat line and pass it on to our moderator, who will review it and determine whether or not it's appropriate to ask that question. As I ask people to get ready for this, here's what I want everybody to hear. We are not living in a usual time. Let me repeat that. We are not living in a usual time. Things are happening around the world in America that literally will affect our children and our grandchildren. This is a serious time where never before has it been so important for voters to declare on the candidate that they are voting for. Tonight's meeting is designed to inform voters of the views of the candidates who are running for public office. There are those of you in this room who are at least my age and will remember that famous, incredible moment in history when one of the youngest men to ever hold the presidency, during his inauguration, asked that famous, or made that famous statement. For those who remember, it was, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. When John F. Kennedy uttered those words, what he was calling all of us of that generation to understand that we had a responsibility to make democracy work. He understood in 1963 what those of us understand today. That when you look at American history, who we elect to public office makes all the difference in the world. We can see it at a national level, and we certainly can see it at a state level, and we can see it at the local level. Let us just pause for a moment to look at what this has meant. There are people in this room that's old enough to remember when a person got elected to president of the United States. He or she would set the tone for the nation. Those who are old enough to remember will recall there were presidents who divided us. One needs only look at history. There are presidents who portrayed us. You look at history. At the national level, we've seen remarkable changes occur based on who we elect president of the United States. And something we've taken for granted that I just want people to hear. Never happened before in American history, and it happened while many of you were alive. Most people have forgotten. There was a time in America that if you were poor, one of the vulnerable members of our society, there was no health care for you. People literally died because a government did not give, at that time, health care. For those of you in this room who have health care, just remember there were a whole lot of people who didn't have health care. And a man who ran for president said, I'm going to do what no other president has done. I'm going to see to it that the American people have health care. Because voters put a trust in him. He got elected, Affordable Care Act, which they have served millions of people, came into being. But that would not have happened had it not been for people voting for a candidate that had a vision. In Maryland, in this state, think of the men and women who've held public office. Think of the men and women who've made a profound difference once getting elected to public office. Here locally, in Anne Arundel County, there have been 11 county executives. 11. And I know each one of them, not because I'm that old, because the federal government, because the local government started in 1965. That's the first elected official who was elected county executive was a man named Joe Walton. By the way, Sheriff Sesker had your job. He was a sheriff and decided he wanted to do something else. Keep that in mind. They're here in the city of Annapolis. I tell people it's important that we pay attention to history. The city of Annapolis was founded in 1649. It got its charter in 1708. And because voters went to the polls in great numbers, they were able to do something that had never, ever happened in the city of Annapolis before then. We're fortunate to have in the room tonight one of the persons that helped make that history. The Honorable Ellen Moyer got elected the mayor, the first woman to get elected mayor of the city of Annapolis. Ellen Moyer. When people vote, when they're informed, they can make a difference. And tonight we are going to seek to inform you. I tell people who run for public office the following: never say you're running against anyone. Always say you're running for something. Because it's not about the individual. With all due respect to all who may run for public office, you will come and go. It is your legacy that we must pay attention to. Will you lead our nation, our state, our county, our city better than your family? That should be the goal of each and every candidate who ever hold public office. Make it better. So I want to thank the Baltimore Sun, who tonight will be doing this live stream. I want to thank Alma, who's going to be doing the live stream for us as well. I want to thank the reporter from WMLR television. Come from Atlanta. I love Atlanta. God, I love Atlanta. She is going to be covering this event. And at some point, she may ask this question: what are you looking for in a county executive? What is it your hopes is when you vote for the candidate 4 years from now? What do you want to be? What do you want the legacy to be? Two other announcements, and then we get into the program. I'm going to call on the Reverend Ricky Nelson Jones to give us an invocation. But there are two events coming up, and I just want to, those of you who have not gotten your tickets, please do so. Coretta Scott King Awards is going to be held on April 27th. What makes this a unique and important event is that women are going to pause to honor on the birthday of Coretta Scott King. I need not tell anyone who knows anything about history. Women have played a fundamental role in where we go as a nation. If you ever get an opportunity to hear or read about a woman named Harriet Tubman from Maryland, you know that she was famous for the Underground Railroad. She did something that I just want to remind people of, how the woman. She was escaping and helping people to escape from slavery. Her brother became fearful. Her brother knew that if they were apprehended, he could be beaten or worse. So her brother said to Harriet Tubman, I'm scared, I'm frightened, I'm going to go back. Harriet Tubman said to her brother, you will either be a free man or a dead man. You're not going back. Very clear. One of the greatest decisions ever handed down by the Supreme Court was given by the Chief Justice here in Maryland. His name was Roger Taney. And he essentially said in the Dred Scott decision that black people have no rights that white people are bound to respect. The Supreme Court made that decision. Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, William Hurt, William Garrison, William Lloyd Garrison, and other abolitionists of that day all gathered in the church. Now that the Supreme Court has handed down this decision, they say, what are we going to do? And Frederick Douglass, who was a great noted orator, was trying to pump up the audience, but he just couldn't. The woman who was late for the meeting was a woman named Sojourner Truth, born Isabella, walked in and she saw Frederick Douglass and noted that he was not his bubbly self. And said, Frederick, what's wrong? And Frederick Douglass said, the Supreme Court just headed down a decision that will set us back for decades. Sojourner Truth said, is that all? Douglass looked at her. He knew that she was illiterate. He knew that she could neither read nor write. And what men tend to do in those days was very patronizing. So he said it to her again. Sojourner, the Supreme Court has handed down a decision. This decision will set us back for decades. And again, Sojourner, without missing a beat, said, and what? Now Frederick is a little frustrated because he thought she didn't understand. He said to Sojourner, did you not hear me? Did you not hear me say that the Supreme Court is handing down this decision? Eliza, when she asked, Sojourner said, Frederick, I didn't know you believed in no Supreme Court. I thought you believed in the Supreme Being. Our God didn't leave us. You got to keep the faith. And again, this woman who understood that faith in the future is what we need. On that note, I bring to the podium a man of faith who will lead us with an invitation, the Reverend Ricky Nelson Jones, Esquire. Reverend Jones. Let us to the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. And out of Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 and 14, Lord, we come before you, recognizing that you're the only God, you're the only judge, and you will get the final say-so on everyone, and life, death, and eternity will be bound. We thank you for the sacrifice of your only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, for our sins, that we have a right to everlasting life. Lord, as we come together on these serious matters today, let this meeting be meaningful, and let our interaction with one another be dignified. As we consider who to vote for to go to office. Let us not have sharp memories. Let us remember when you make a bad decision and you get a bad person in the office, as we have seen and continue to see, you may get somebody in there, Lord, who's not educated and governing people, who's not qualified, not dignified, and low. And we know the consequence of that. Let us not do that in this election. I ask you, God, that you grab the reins of the minds of the people running for office and those in office, so they will understand, as I often say, they are not the most educated, not the most qualified, not the wisest, but they are being placed there, Lord, by you to do that which is just and fair. When they get in office, let them understand the wisdom of making sure they know a diverse and inclusive government is necessary for a diverse and inclusive community. I ask that you strengthen Mr. Snowden. Bless Mr. Snowden. Because I know this social justice work, I know personally, is often not appreciated. Given what it means to continue to lead us. Then, Lord, I ask, oh Father, that everybody here will show respect for one another. Understand this is not a game, this is not a plaything. We're looking at terrible consequences of putting the wrong person in office. Let us not do that this time. I ask you, God, that you please be with us this day. Guide our hearts and our minds, oh Father. So not only when we disagree with one another, we remain calm, but we also have respect for one another. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray and thank God. Amen. Again, I'm a big supporter of women. I've seen, anybody knowing me know that I just love my mother. I revered her. When someone says you're a mama boy, I accept that with deep appreciation. I don't consider that a disparaging remark at all. 104 years old, my mother lived to be 104. My mother taught me something very valuable. I've seen it so many times. Just in my own life. If I want to see something get done, I know who to call on. I've seen women do just incredible things. That's why it's with great pride that I'm going to introduce our next speaker. She happens to be the president of the Anne Arundel County chapter of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. An organization that came together, decided to use their resources to help make America better and not better. Please join me in welcoming to the podium, Carol Brooks.
National Coalition of 100 Black Women, 7th National Past President, Dee Dee Strunk, distinguished leaders, community advocates, and more importantly, the citizens of Anne Arundel County. On behalf of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, I am honored to welcome you to tonight's Anne Arundel County Executive Candidate Forum. We are proud to host this event in collaboration with the Caucus of African American Leaders, because we understand when nonpartisan organizations join forces, we amplify our collective voice and increase our impact on all communities. Tonight is about community, access, and accountability. The National Coalition of 100 Black Women is a nonpartisan organization dedicated to advocacy, civic engagement, and leadership development. For decades, we have worked to uplift Black women and girls, recognizing that the issues they face also impact all of us. Housing, healthcare, education, economic opportunity, and public safety are not just policy topics, they are lived experiences in our homes and neighborhoods. This forum is not about endorsements. It is about ensuring that our community is informed, empowered, and prepared to engage fully in the democratic process. When we ask questions, stay engaged, and vote, we hold our leaders accountable. We appreciate the candidates for being here tonight and taking the time to engage with the people of Anne Arundel County. Your presence matters, and we are grateful for your willingness to listen, share your vision of the county's future. We are also thankful to gather here at the Wiley H. Bates Heritage Center, a location that embodies resilience, history, and the strength of community. It is a fitting venue for this important conversation. Lastly, I'd like to thank the National Coalition of 100 Black Women Public Policy Committee, tonight's caterer, Chef Sam, our volunteers, and everyone who made this evening possible. We ask that all participants and attendees maintain a spirit of respect as we listen with intention and engage thoughtfully. With that, I am pleased to hand over the program to our moderator as we begin tonight's forum. Thank you.
One of the things that we do each month here at this event, pause. I have said this many, many times. If you're watching television, there's some television stations that likes to focus on the negative. The one particular station is just always talking about juvenile delinquency and all the things that young people engage in. But I know that they don't really represent the young. Got a lot of young people just doing nice, decent things. So every month we pause to honor them. Andre Dillon shares a birthday with me. We have the same day to come forward. This Gemini is going to introduce for us our special guest this evening. Andre, somebody told me you're a member of the Alphas, is that right? I'm one.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. So, on behalf of our school superintendent, Dr. Mark Waddell, and also our marvelous board president, Ms. Dennis here, we want to thank all of you for this great opportunity. Give a round of applause. So I always look forward to the second Tuesday of the month because this is a time where we get to highlight one of the many amazing students that we have throughout our school system. And for those who don't know, we're about 85,000 students, so we have a large school system. And the vast majority of those students are doing amazing things. So this is a great opportunity, and truly something I honor. Tonight, I have the pleasure of recognizing a young man from Meade High School, Nigel Martin. Come on up, Nigel. So I have a few things I want to say about Nigel, just to kind of really introduce everyone to him, and you'll hear why he was chosen for this recognition. So Nigel is a graduating senior from Meade Senior High School. He exemplifies dedication, humility, and purpose. As a student athlete, Nigel has balanced the demands of academics and athletics with discipline, competing on both the varsity basketball team and AAU basketball team. His passion for fitness extends beyond the court, reflecting his commitment to personal growth and overall well-being. Nigel aspires to attend the University of Maryland Eastern Shore, where he plans to major in business with a minor in marketing, with a goal of building a successful and impactful career. What truly sets Nigel apart is his character, and that's so important. Character is everything, right? He is a humble and grounded young man who leads by example, consistently demonstrating kindness, integrity, and willingness to support others. Nigel is quick to lead a helping hand and approaches both challenges and success with grace. His strong faith is a guiding force for his life, shaping his values for his future and for his value of interactions with others. Nigel's combination of work ethic, compassion, and vision for his future makes him a standout student and a young man with tremendous potential. I had the honor of hearing Nigel. We had a mentoring month panel discussion, and Nigel sat on that panel. And the poise that he exhibited, and just his humility and just being so transparent. I kid you not, I have not seen those kind of qualities in someone his age in a long, long time. So that speaks volumes about this young man. So without further ado,
hello, everybody. That was a great introduction from Mr. Dillard. I just want to say I'm very grateful for the award. It's just dedication I do put into school, and staying to the course, and just try my hardest every step of the way. Mr. Jefferson, my mentor, really helped me out when it comes to schooling, making sure that I'm on top of my grades. And I'm very happy to get the award. So thank you, everybody. You guys all have a nice night. Mom and Dad, maybe please come up so we can take a picture.
Gloria, would you join us in this photograph, please? Madam President. The next presentation we had, I'm really, as I tell people, I know history. I paid attention to things. One of the things that Annapolis Police Department has done, and we're going to be celebrating this next month, but I'm going to mention it now. We had one of the most diverse police departments in the state of Maryland. The diversity with the Annapolis Police Department, I'm just so proud. I believe every department ought to reflect the community in which it serves. And the Annapolis Police Department does that. But they do something else. I've been looking around the country. I've been trying to figure out, is there any other program like this? And I've not been able to find a single program like the one I'm about to mention to you. People commit crimes. They go to jail for the crimes they committed. But one of the little known facts is people come back home. Somebody goes to prison for 10 years, 5 years, whatever that time is, they will eventually come back to a community, the very community in which the crime was committed. What I like about what the Annapolis Police Department did, they created a program called the Returning Citizens Program. But they recognize that when a person has done his or her time, they deserve the opportunity to have a fresh start. Chief, would you come forward, please? And we're going to have some citations given. Two of those women who've been brought back. One woman, excuse me.
Thank you for asking us to do this, Carl. This is a great idea. And I know they already left, but I wanted to congratulate Nigel on his award. As a proud Meade Mustang graduate myself, graduate, going on to do amazing things. So I know he's got a good future ahead of him. But we're here today to celebrate Leah Fox. If you'd come up. Thank you. So I Certificate of Achievement for you, given in recognition for successful completion of the University of Maryland Medical Center 6-week training program for participation in our department's Positive Impact Program, which is the program we have for returning citizens. Officer Horn is the guiding force behind this program, and if you want to say a few words about Leah.
Good afternoon. It's good to see this crowd. I just want to congratulate Leah. This program within the last 6 years has made such a big difference in the city of Annapolis. We graduated 15 classes. We graduated 15 classes from the University of Maryland Medical Center, 15 classes from the NCIA, which is the trade school. I see my partner, my driver, Bishop Carroll. Come on up here. Bishop Carroll is the driver. Bishop Carroll transports our Annapolis residents to and from the training for HVAC, CDL, Class B, automotive. We have the University of Maryland Medical Center. Tyrone, Knight, Mr. Franklin, come on up. We can't do this without our partnership. We have some of the best partnerships in the state of Maryland. We focus on career paths. We don't look just for menial jobs. We go inside these prisons, Hagerstown, Jessup. We go into these institutions and we keep them right behind those prison walls. And it's a dark place in there. And I've been going to these prisons for the last 25 years. And sit and spend time with people like Leah and her coming weekly to our reentry sessions. And seeing her in that prison uniform, sitting in those reentry sessions, she's telling me, Officer Horn, as soon as I get out, I'm coming straight to Annapolis. I'm going to get with you because I really want to work in a hospital. For 2 years, I mentored her in that dark place. Miss Acaselli is the director for Project Fresh at the Women's Correctional Institution in Jessup. So we have partnerships that allow the Annapolis Police Department to be the router to connect the community to these services. And you don't have to worry about your tax dollars paying for this because it's partnerships that does this. So we do this because we have that passion to do it. And if it wasn't for these partnerships, and some of our partners aren't here today, but there's so many of them. Maryland Reentry, who is Vanessa Bright and Joshua Hack from Turnaround Thursday, and Express Pros, our employment agencies, and the Department of Public Safety and Corrections, and so many people. So I just want to now turn it over to Ms. Acaselli so she can present her with her award.
This is a certificate of recognition in recognition of your hard work, perseverance, and successful reentry. Your positive example has made a significant impact to the women of Project Fresh. Thank you and very good job.
First and foremost, I do want to thank Major Bradford and Officer Horn and the Annapolis Police Department. Thank you, sir, very much. Unfortunately, I was at MCIW in Jessup for some crimes that I did commit. However, one thing that I took from there was the resources that was provided to me from this availability. And the amount of resources that you gave me that linked me with you beautiful souls at the University of Maryland, I would not have been able to get to where I am at such a fast pace. Taking your guys' entry course was so top notch to be able to get the education and the reminders of what I needed to get back into the workforce from being where I was. However, I never would have been able to have the opportunity to meet any of you if I didn't meet you. So, on behalf of myself and all the others that come before me and all the ones that I know will come after me, I want to say thank you to all of you for letting somebody like myself realize that yes, I did mess up, but I do have opportunity to be in use.
Just to let you all know, this is a great crime fighting strategy. Imagine all the people that we had in this program. We know of every city resident that's in prison. We make contact with them, so before they get out, we're contacting them. They have a pathway. And just imagine all the people that we contacted. When they come back, they don't commit those crimes. They go off and have good, successful careers. So this is a good crime fighting strategy. Thank you.
Okay, come on for a moment, because we're going to get started. Why, to save some time, while Nita is doing the collection, every month we take up a collection so we can provide food and drink for people at this event. While she's doing the collection, Cookie is going to favor us with a selection of her choosing. Okay?
Good evening, everyone. Oh, y'all can do better than that. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Ms. Cook.
All right, we are here. I just want to give an honor to all of the leadership that's in the building and everyone that's present running for county executive here at this meeting tonight. Honorable Carl Snowden, thank you so much for having me. I'm just going to turn it up just a little bit and take it to church because, you know, as we always do, we got to give God praise for where we are. And that's just it. Bear with me. Tragedies all commonplace, all kind of diseases, people are slipping away, economy's down, people can't get enough pay, but as for me, all I can say is thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Yeah, come on, y'all. Start over. Tragedies all commonplace, all kind of diseases, people are slipping away. Economy's down, people can't get enough pay, but as for me, all I can say is thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me. Hey, it could have been me. There you go. Outdoors with no food and no clothes, all left alone without a friend. Hey, I'm just another number with a tragic kin, but he didn't see fit to let none of these times be. And every day by your power, he keeps on keeping me. And I want to say thank you, Lord, for all you've done for me.
those of you who are not accustomed to going to church, the Spirit has a way of just moving forward. Let me do something very quickly because we got to get to the candidates that's running for county executive. Before doing that, I said earlier, and I want to repeat myself. This election that you're going to take, that you're going to be involved in June, the primary, is extraordinarily important. I'm going to make a recommendation to people who are listening by way of live stream. Generally, when people run for public office and when voters go to the polls, here's what they do. They start at the top, governor, Congress, sort of work it down. We're going to be advising people to go from the bottom up, and here's the reason why. I don't think people understand the civics lessons. Do you realize that when you vote for the next judge, it's a 15-year appointment? Whoever becomes judge will last longer than a president. Presidents can only serve 2 terms. When you're going through your ballot, you gotta understand who you're voting for. And that's what the purpose of tonight's meeting is. To make sure you know who you are voting for. And before we go to the county executive candidates, I want to quickly acknowledge the candidates that's running for other offices that's here. Would you quickly come forward? All candidates that's running for public office, come forward quickly, please. I want you to see the diversity that we have. I want you to see the men and women that's running for public office. Some running for county council, some running for the General Assembly, some running for Congress, some running for the registered wills. Please take a note of these folks. Look at the faces, remember the names. When you run for public office, having run for public office, I understand the process. You've got to be willing to make a sacrifice. Would you all please join me in thanking these men and women who are running for elected office? And before they take their seats, I just want y'all to hear this. These men and women, for government to work and work properly, have to work with the county executive. Whoever becomes county executive, they will need the cooperation of elected officials at every level. So tonight's meeting, as you begin to hear the questions, so really focus on how do we make government more effective, more efficient for the people that it serves. Please, again, thank these candidates who are running for public office once again. Let's give them a round of applause. Two quick announcements. The community gospel program will take place on June 28th here at the Annapolis Senior Center. If you're interested, please see Elder James for more information. And there will also be a trip. Wally Bates class of 1962 is going to be taking a trip. And we can join them as well. There'll be more information here. Now we come to this part of the meeting that people have been waiting for. Daryl Jones is going to give us the instructions, but before we're doing that, I want to make sure of several things. One, there will come an opportunity for people in the audience to ask questions. So you don't get mad with Daryl. You can take it out on me. I've told Daryl, if someone is telling a story and not asking a question, cut them off. Because I want to make sure that every person who wants an opportunity to ask a question is able to do that. So please, if you're going to ask a question, formulate your question in advance
Do not start when you were 19 years old, 40 years ago. Please don't do that. Now, let me tell you why we selected Daryl Jones to be the moderator. Not only is he a prominent attorney, not only is he a former elected official, not only is he with a group called the Transformative Justice Coalition, which is doing great work all over the country. He's become a national figure in his own right. But here's something else that some of you may not be aware of. Some of us are. Daryl also hosts weekly a radio program that's heard all over America. I happen to have been on it today, along with some others. He and his colleagues understand the importance of media. There used to be a slogan that says, information is power, and it is. The more you know, the more powerful you are. So Daryl Jones will serve as the moderator. He will introduce his panel members who will ask questions, and at the end of the questions, he will then turn to the audience, and at some point, you'll start lining up in the center, and he'll call on you in the order in which you line up. Please, if someone's asked a question, don't duplicate the question. If Daryl will make the judgment as the moderator, because this is a debate, it's not a forum. This is a debate, it's not a forum. This is a debate, it's not a forum. And what it's designed to do is make the clear distinction between what candidates stand on an issue. So with no further ado, please welcome to the podium, the Honorable Daryl Jones.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this debate forum tonight with the county executive candidates for Arundel County. Let me first thank the Coalition of African American Leaders for hosting this debate. Let me also thank the National Coalition of 100 Black Women of Arundel County for hosting this debate as well. And let me thank each of you for being here tonight or for watching live stream. Your involvement in wanting to get more information regarding the candidates is extreme. And on behalf of every candidate that you saw standing here, thank you for coming out so they get a chance to interact with you. So this debate tonight, we have two folks that are going to be on the panel. One person who was born in Japan, raised in Alaska, and just fell in love with the state of Maryland, is now a columnist with the Baltimore Sun, Ben Rothstein. Ben. Our other panelist took a reverse to that. He was born and raised in Maryland, has always lived in Maryland, always lived in Annapolis, but for some strange reason, does not love oysters. I can't figure that out. Timothy Boston. Timothy is also a digital journalist with Report Annapolis. So we're going to open with a statement from each of the candidates, and they're going to have a 2-minute limit to start their opening comments, and then from there we're going to go into questions. And the question became, how are we going to select who is going to go first, who's going to go last, what position jockey and y'all do with regards to politics. And so we're going to draw straws, and whoever draws the shortest straw will go first. James Kitchen, hold up that straw, James. Okay, so you will lead in the opening statements, and we'll go in order of the straw, the length of the straw, which would make Kyle second, Kyle Nemhard, James Kitchen, Allison Pickard, and then Peter Smith.
Well, thank you so much for hosting and everyone for being here. It is a pleasure to spend part of this evening with you. My name is James Kitchen. I'm running for county executive, and I hope to earn your vote in the June primary. Anne Arundel County has always been my heart. My earliest memories are at my grandparents' house here in Annapolis. I was raised in Crofton, graduated from Arundel High School. And my wife, Lauren, who is a 4th grade teacher in our public school system, and I are very intentionally raising our children just a mile down the street from where I grew up. And it is a blessing to be able to raise your kids in a community where they can get on a bike and go visit grandma and grandpa. I started my career as a high school educator. I taught history and U.S. government. I've earned a PhD in public policy from UMBC. And I've spent the last 7 years working on the senior management team of the Pittman administration. And so have good, solid executive branch experience right here in Anne Arundel County. I am proud to have County Executive Pittman's endorsement in this race. I'm proud to have the Councilwoman for the Annapolis area's endorsement in this race, Lisa Rodman. And we are proud to be backed by the Teachers Association of Anne Arundel County. But perhaps what sets me apart the most and sets me up to fight for the Anne Arundel County that we all believe in is that I am the only one using the public financing system. That means I'm taking no special interest money at all. So no PAC money, no corporate money, no developer money, none of it. And it's to help me be accountable only to you, the residents and communities of Anne Arundel County. We have built this campaign around 3 key principles: community, equity, and the environment. And those are perspectives through which we will approach every single issue when I'm your next county executive. So thank you again for having us here this evening, and I look forward to the conversation.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kyle Nemard. You probably know me the least up here. I am also running for county executive, first-time candidate for public office, but I'm very excited to be amongst you all to start the discussion between now and hopefully beyond June. So I hope to earn your trust, the conversation, and hopefully your vote. I actually was born and raised in New York, Westchester County, but I came to Maryland for grad school after getting my commerce and engineering degree at Drexel to go to Morgan State for grad school. And I got my graduate degree in city and regional planning. And I came to Maryland because Maryland was the leader in smart growth. And I'm proud to say that I have built my adult life home here in Maryland. I've got married here in Maryland. Well, technically I got married in my wife's church in Virginia. But my wife and I settled in Maryland, not for Maryland. We settled in Maryland. We raised our 2 kids in Maryland. They are Maryland born, Maryland homegrown. We bought our first home, which we still live in today, in Glen Burnie, to this day. And we're very proud residents of Maryland, let alone Anne Arundel County. The funny thing is, when we used to visit my uncle in Rockville, we would always drive down 995. And I always had this strange feeling I would end up in Maryland. It was just a divine intervention that something was going to happen in Maryland. And here I am. Little did I know I'd be running for public office. But the reason I started to run for public office is that I started out fighting for my community. I live in Freetown. And Freetown had some concerns about decisions made by local government. And so I took my knowledge that I need to help the Freetown community organize. And as I spent the last 2.5 years helping to support my community, I saw some things that I wasn't really impressed with. And so I tried to do as much as I could as a regular citizen to affect change. And I realized that the next step was to run for public office. So my campaign is about empowering communities and neighborhoods through open dialogue and transparency. And hopefully we can have the dialogue between now and June. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Allison Pickard, and I'm very pleased to be here this evening. I was raised in a military family where I was taught early to value community and service. My first job out of college was with AmeriCorps as a community organizer, and I put those skills to work as a PTA volunteer at Oakwood Elementary. That work led to me being named AACPS Volunteer of the Year. That led to me getting appointed to the Board of Education, where I learned firsthand how important strong local government is to our everyday quality of life. All of those experiences culminated in 2018 when I stepped up to run for county council in District 2. I knocked the doors, I listened to my neighbors, and I flipped that seat from red to blue. That Democratic majority on the council has delivered real results for Anne Arundel. We've invested historic levels of funding into our public schools. We've passed our first fair housing laws, and we've strengthened environmental protection, including creating the Resilience Authority to tackle climate change. But the work's not done.
I'm running to be the next county executive to fight every day to tackle the affordability crisis facing families across the county. And in order to do that, we're going to have to strengthen our local economy so that we can invest in all of our shared values. With all the chaos coming out of Washington, it's never been more important to have a strong local government and our Democratic coalition leading the way. I've built a coalition in this campaign that starts with Congresswomen, members of the State House, County Council, and the school board. A coalition that knows that governing is a team sport, and they trust me to lead Anne Arundel County forward. 8 years ago, I was quoted as saying, "No one's coming to save us. We're going to have to save ourselves." And that's the work we've been doing over the last 8 years, and there's more work to be done. I'm Allison Pickard, and I ask for your vote as the next county executive.
I am Pete Smith, and I am a recovering Marine. For the last 28 years of my life, I've been serving in the military. I come from a very humble beginnings. My mom cleaned toilets and washed and made beds her entire life to make sure her 5 kids, when she was a teen, could have a life that I'm living right now. My daughter, she's 20 years old now. She's at UNBC, majoring in computer science. My son is 14 at CSP, and I work at the National Security Agency and U.S. Cyber Command, pretty much handling budgets. But for the last 20 years of my adult life, I have been giving back to Arundel County. Many of you in this room have seen me on the battlefield, literally fighting for the same rights and privileges that every other community has had for their lifetime. You've seen my body of work, and I'm asking for your vote on June 23rd to be the next county executive, because that body of work is what we all have strived for our entire lives, to make sure that what we do and what we work for is what you all represent. Economic development is the #1 priority that I'm focused on. I knew what it's like to actually fight and live in a closet when I was 18 years old, living in my aunt's basement, and it did not feel nice. So I want to make sure no other kid who's 17, going through their senior year in high school, who has to live in a closet, who's graduating, which is why I'm in the military, to be honest with you, because at least they gave me a real bed and 3 meals a day, and I didn't have to really ride and work for it. I even had to hike for it, Sheriff, just to make sure he's aware of that. But for those that are in this room, I asked you over the next couple of months to really look at who has been working and striving for your community for the last couple of decades, or any length of period of time. There are some of us who have been fighting, and I'm grateful to serve in that capacity now. And I can't wait to explain to you what those values look like and how we're going to continue to fight for you every single day. Pete Smith, June 23rd, and I hope I can earn your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. We're going to go into the questions now from our panelists. And the first question, I want to give a little background for our audience before the question is asked. I want you to appreciate that in Anne Arundel County, the annual income, the annual budget, the revenue source is roughly $2.4 billion. Of that, 50% of that is guaranteed to go to education. That's untouchable. Approximately 20% of that goes to public safety. The balance is what is used for services in Anne Arundel County and things that are available. With that background and that backdrop, Ben Rothstein has our first question.
So if elected, how do you guys address affordability, and especially in housing, but obviously everything is going up in price right now?
And we'll start with Pete Smith, who was, I guess, drew the long straw.
Check, okay.
If elected, how would you guys address affordability issues in the county, especially in housing, but in everything?
Not great.
Show some on the mic. If you hold it at the end, we won't be able to hear you.
Check, can you hear me now? Okay. I am grateful for that. That's a good question. The good thing is you don't have to go far to see what we're going to be doing to address the affordability housing. I actually have a record of achieving and trying to strive for affordability. I just passed recently a cottage home bill that looks at legislation for communities to make sure that we build houses that are not $2 million houses. In Anne Arundel County, the average house is about $500,000, 510 to be exact. The average income, median income in Anne Arundel County is $120,000. So if you don't make, who in here makes over $120,000, right? And so if you're a builder, the market will say, I'm going to build houses that are focused on the top level of that, north of that 120,000. So everyone below that are the ones that are going to be sort of scratching for pieces. And so what I've done over the last year when it comes to the Housing Attainability Act, I voted on that. The land use to make affordability, you got to have supply. And having the areas that we're going to build in to make that a reality. And so that's what I've been doing over the last, certainly since 2012, when I first stepped my foot in the county executive, the county council position to focus on those things that are going to bring affordability. Housing needs options and they need variety, and that's what I've been doing for the last 13 years. Thank you.
So affordable housing is a huge need in the county at every age and stage of life in Anne Arundel County. We've passed a lot of legislation and policies that look to recalibrate the zoning code, but at the end of the day, actually building starts are the lowest they've been in over 20 years in Anne Arundel County. So we actually need, if we're going to talk about affordable housing, we actually need to streamline some of our processes that actually allow what's on paper to be built so we can actually serve those needs. But the question was more not housing, which I could talk about for a long time, but it was also, we also know that energy prices are crushing residents, grocery prices are crushing residents, and our gas prices are right now, what is $75 to fill up my tank today. I know that's really hard for everyone in the room. So affordability, we have a large cost burden population in Anne Arundel County. We have renters that are cost burdened. We have homeowners that are looking to downsize that have nowhere to actually go because we're not building the kind of housing for seniors to downsize into that frees up that family home. So this isn't a question answer in 1.5 minutes. But know that as your next county executive, it is top of mind. And some of the issues at hand come to how we actually work to implement the code that already exists. And we have to streamline some processes and break down the barriers so that affordability we can at least put a dent in it. Thank you.
Yes, so I also appreciate the question. And on the subject of affordable housing, I couldn't agree more that we do need to increase the housing supply to help bring the price of housing down. However, one of the things that we do need to do is be cognizant of where that affordable housing goes. Because keep in mind, Pete Smith talked about household income. Gas prices, car repairs, car purchases, that's a regressive price structure. So they don't care how much money you make. You can have housing policy that cares about how much money you make, but if you develop affordable housing in areas that are very car dependent, you wipe out the affordability. So we need to streamline and enforce the development of affordable and workforce housing in areas that have options for other viable transportation options along bus routes, high transportation corridors, not just tucked away in the woods somewhere where the only way you can get there is by car. You don't want to be landlocked. So that's important. I will see the responsibility, but we have to be cognizant too. A lot of the challenges we have in terms of affordability, some things are set at the federal level, and the local level could only do so much to counteract that. But I will say that I have 15 seconds, I'm trying to keep this in real quick. But I think in terms of affordability, I think one of the things I'd like to do is find more opportunities for our workforce to have access to those alternative transportation options, like working with our commuter agencies and our transportation agencies to maybe get some kind of county resident discount if you work for the county. But I know my time is up. So again, appreciate the dialogue to talk more in detail about that. Affordability is a whole life issue. It is housing, It's also transportation, it's food, it's childcare, it's energy, it's all of these things, and we do have to view it holistically. If we're talking about housing, the number one thing, it's not just supply. We do have a supply shortage, but it's a supply of what? Because I'll tell you, building 400 new homes that all start in the mid-900,000s are not going to help the working class people of this county. And building more condos that rent for $3,000 a month are not going to help the working class people of this county. Not now, not for many years, for that to trickle down. So we can't take a supply side trickle down approach to housing only. We have to make the development community build the type of housing that our residents need. And to do that, we need policymakers that are financially independent from the building community. We can absolutely give the developers a seat at the table. But I'm going to quote Barack Obama talking about the Affordable Care Act when I say we will not let them buy every seat at the table. We can gain from their experience, but we're going to make policies that work for the people of Anne Arundel County, and we're financially independent from the industry, and so we're going to be able to do it. And we will be very creative addressing. It is embarrassing with how wealthy this county is that we do still have food deserts where people cannot have access to fresh, healthy food. We will address that, we'll be creative, and we'll get things done.
Our next question comes from Tim Boston. Tim.
If elected, what would you take that would address or support families facing evictions and other housing-related emergencies?
Who would like to start? All right, Alex.
Can you repeat the question?
No, the question is about how will you help prevent evictions? We've actually just passed some legislation in the county council with to create a process for more dignified evictions so that people's home goods are not put out on the public road, which is horrible. But that wasn't, the bill was about dignity. It wasn't necessarily a prevention bill. Preventing eviction, we have crafted and created and stood up the Housing Trust Fund with its own dedicated funding stream in Anne Arundel County to the tune of it brings in about $10 million a year. And a good portion of that goes to eviction prevention programs. We know in the State House they're working on other eviction bills. I know the sheriff's been involved in that work. We need to be looking at good cause eviction policies. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. We also, though, eviction prevention does come with lifting up individuals so that they can afford to live in the apartment. We can put a Band-Aid on it through some of the prevention work, through the intervention work when someone's at the brink of eviction. But we also need to make sure that people have wages that allow them to afford to live in Anne Arundel County.
So in addition to what Allison just mentioned, which I would reference as well, I was there when they passed that legislation to kind of at least dignify the eviction process. I'm sure many of you, I know I have been, when I applied to rent a house, or not a house, but an apartment in Baltimore, you know, they wanted to see a lot of information. They wanted to have proof that I had income, right? But this is a tough economy, right? We don't control when we get laid off or we get fired, right? So if we show that, it'd be good to look into passing legislation that protects folks that are trying to just get to the next job, right? It's tough, but this is what I mean when I say we need to have that open dialogue, because we need to have, like I've been saying earlier, everyone should have a seat at the table, not just the privileged few. So that includes both the renter and the landlord. And I've heard the stories on the landlord side too, which I never really give much thought to because I've never been a landlord. I haven't had the resources to do that. But hearing some of those perspectives, I was like, oh, I never thought about how the hardship is on the landlord side. That being said, if someone is honestly just trying to make the next paycheck or get the next job, there should be a process where they can prove that, hey, I'm not just sitting around, I'm letting the clock expire, I'm trying to get that next job, I'm actively searching. And I think there's a way we can do that.
All
right, so I'd say a few things to this one. First, we do have to, yes, we need to keep with our eviction prevention programs that are helping people who are literally getting evicted to try to emergency stay in their homes. But we need programs that help folks when you miss your first month's rent, not when you've missed like your third or your fourth. We got to get programs in there when you start to get behind. How can we come around with community supports and keep you from getting to the point where we're even talking about eviction? So that's the missing gap right now in terms of services. And so we need to take that seriously and fund that. It does, again, come to supply of affordable housing. People are going to struggle with eviction if you don't have housing that the working class people of this county can afford to rent and to move in, or if there's nothing for them to move to if the rent they're paying at their current place is a little bit too much. And so again, we have a bill now, or a law now, that every time a developer builds, they have to set aside about 10% of the units, and it needs to be affordable at 100% of area median income. And we should really look at those things because we can do better. Like we can get to 20%, we can get to 80% AMI, and we can do really well there. We should also be looking at common sense rent controls, not rent freezes, not rent caps, but common sense rent controls that again will work for the working people of this county. People don't want to touch that because there's a ton of pushback from the building lobby, and again, we're independent from them. We'll be able to fight for the working class people of this county.
I think I was about 11 or 12 when we got evicted in Chicago. And I remember coming home and actually seeing our stuff on the street. And the reason it was such a horrifying thing for me is because the stuff my mom had purchased, she really, really worked hard to purchase that stuff. And I knew that it was going to take a long time to get it back. So I know what it feels like to be evicted. That's why we passed the rent, I'm sorry, not rent, but programs, rental assistance programs to help with that. That's why I voted for it. That's why we passed the Housing Attainability Act with the cards in there where 10-15% of those housing stocks, we passed that. That's why I passed the cottage home bill to force builders to build at 800 square feet or less to make sure that they don't build products that are going to be 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 square feet. Because some families don't need 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 square feet. That's why I did it, because I lived that life and I've been down that road and I know what it feels like. And that's going to motivate me every single day I'm in that office as county executive to ensure that legislation and laws we pass that impact the least of us have the ability to give them a hand up and a leg up in this world, because it's unfair. A lot of folks don't have the opportunities that a lot of privileged folks have had here in Anne Arundel County. And I want to make sure the ones who are the least don't have to suffer through the pain that I suffer. So thank you.
All right. When I was on the county council centuries ago, one of the things that I always found myself doing was fighting for the African American community. Whatever part of the county it occurred in or happened in, they would end up at my desk. And one of the questions that I got to pose to our county executive candidates is this. Our firefighters here in Anne Arundel County. Our county is approximately 21% African American. There are approximately 7% of firefighters that are African American. Of the leadership, the chiefs in the fire department, there are 0 African Americans that are in leadership. Could you share with us your commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion? And does that include keeping the current chief that has this policy in place?
Okay, so maybe here a level, with you here international, screw that, okay? Like, we need to have DEI. DEI, first of all, it's not just about a race thing, it's all about your service in the military. You're being part of the ADA community, but in terms of your question, in terms of that, yes, I would absolutely, without any equivocation, support that policy to encourage more diversity in our public services, including the police department and the fire department. That goes without saying. That is my default, okay? And I know we have qualified members of the public that fit those descriptions, that are ready to serve at a moment's notice. I also know from my own personal experience in my career that, sometimes, things can get a little kind of in the family, right? We have like a little cliquish, in the network, and it's hard to break into that. So we need to incentivize to kind of break that up. Be more open, more inviting. And again, that's what my campaign is all about, is opening up to various perspectives, input, various backgrounds, so that we have a comprehensive perspective on how to serve our communities from the public sector. Thank you. All right, that is a good question, right? So diversity, equity, inclusion, you need all of them. And we cannot let Donald Trump and Republicans make us think that equity is a dirty word. We just can't. We change our language too often to the spin of Republicans, and at some point we have to say, like, no, if this is our value, we're gonna say it. We're gonna say it out loud, and it needs to be more than a talking point. It needs to be a governing philosophy through which we approach everything. That includes personnel. Now, one of the things that I've learned working for county government the past 7 years is that sometimes you have to show up where people are in order for people to know about opportunities, in order to get the people that we need to apply for things. So a couple examples here. One, when we were trying to fill people to be on our stakeholder advisory committees for Plan 2040 and all the region plans, the planning that you all were helping doing in your communities. We did a call, we emailed out, we did all the things, had hundreds of applicants, and it was not a diverse pool. And I was working with planning and zoning. I said, no, you got to stop. And they're like, no, well, we can't. We got a timeline. I was like, no, the timeline's going to change because we need to go into the communities. We need to show where people are and pitch them. And so we paused it. We moved the timeline down. We spent months going to churches and other community groups saying, hey, here's the opportunity going on. Let us help you fill an application right now. So it's going to where people are to make sure that folks are applying for these opportunities. But the second thing I've learned is that you have to have a diverse group of people making the decisions. And so when you're having these interview panels for fire chiefs, for folks, we need to make sure that the people deciding who we hire, advising the county executive, have diverse experiences, diverse perspectives, and that's how we're going to diversify our workforce.
The council in 2012-ish timeframe, and even Daryl sort of conceded to this as well. We were probably only 2 African Americans at this county and state level, ourselves and Judge Green. If you don't know who Judge Green was, he was Supreme Court. Well, I guess the Maryland Supreme Court. He's since retired. And since then, Anne Arundel County has several minorities that have been elected at the county and state level over the last 10 years. It's amazing. But that has not come by accident. That's come by the folks that are in this cow room, that when this organization was built, probably in 2012, 2013, somewhere on that standpoint, they were advocating every single day for folks who were going to be in positions of authority to actually to have a seat at the table. So we didn't get this success because of elected officials. We got this success because of street people like you, who came out every single day knocking on doors or every single community to say, no, we want representation. Having folks who look like you at the table and have a seat at the table is important because you understand the dynamics that they may not understand. Man, this is a loaded question right here. But we will 100% have folks who share the vision and the values that I have, who are going to fight every single day for the citizens that live in Arundel County, because that's what's needed to make sure that every single voice matters, no matter what you look like. You're going to have a voice at our table. Thank you.
The question is about representation. It was specifically about the fire department and public safety. The fire service has traditionally been, from the beginning of time, traditionally more white. But as we've moved through these last 8 years, I think we are starting to see a change in our academy classes within public safety to bring diversity, not just race, but gender, which is exciting. I would say to the leadership of our agencies, not just public safety, is that everybody will be interviewing for their position to make sure that they do meet the vision and the urgency of this moment in time in Anne Arundel County. Representation is important, not just in the performative sense, but it is also important to have informed quality governance so that all of our citizens and their lived experiences are represented, not just in public safety, but in our leadership team and throughout our weird mic. It is important because not just representation, but we need to make sure that we're building leadership pipelines so that we keep quality employees and retain them in county government, but also that we empower our leadership, our diverse leadership, to be decision makers at the table, not just there to represent.
Anne Arundel County Public Schools Superintendent Mark Bedell is entering his second term, and the county is following education policies set by Blueprint for Maryland's Future. A lot of times, our schools face tough budget decisions. How will you lead our county schools through that? And I guess broader, what is your philosophy regarding education funding? All right, education funding, it's a great question. So first, my approach to education is it has to work for every single student. And second, you do that by supporting teachers and teachers' assistants and the people that are on the line doing the job every single day. It is a hard time to be in education. My wife is a fourth grade teacher. She's in her 17th year. She will tell you it has never been harder to be a teacher than it is right now. What she'll also tell you is that the best thing you can do for her isn't necessarily increase her pay, but yes, she wants a COLA that meets, stays up with inflation and the cost of living and everything, but it's teaching assistants. You have these folks that are in there and they're making like $16 an hour. You have a really, really tough job and you're not getting any benefits. So you can make that flipping burgers or pouring coffee like anywhere else. How are we going to get people to do these jobs? And that's where the vacancies are right now, is in these support positions. My wife is supposed to have a support position in her classroom at all times. She doesn't because the positions aren't filled. So we have to be willing to support the living wage for these positions. In funding, we do need to be creative with that. I will leave no tools off the table. Education is the one thing you can bump the property tax pass in order to fund that. We need to be looking at the fair share tax package at the state level to close corporate loopholes on the wealthiest corporations, and that will bring things down. But we need to be creative and we need to have a commitment to public education.
Hold it near the top.
Hold it at the top, the mic,
Since 2012, I've helped fund education at maintenance of effort or greater. So for at least 9-10 budgets, I've been there for the education system, voting for every single resource that I can to make sure that their needs. But here's the reality. As a county executive, it's good all day long, I can talk policy, but we have a board of education, we have a school board, we have a superintendent who's responsible for managing the school system in the process. Here's what I can do as county executive, bring them the resources. I can sit here all day long and tell you how much education, and I love it, I do love it. I went to 7 different elementary schools from kindergarten to, because we moved 15 different times growing up. It was chaos in my life. But as your county executive, what I want to do for the school system is bring them the resources. I could talk all day long about teacher assistants, about English person, but if I can't pay for it, it doesn't mean anything to you. It doesn't mean anything. So what I want to do is actually make sure the budget is actually right-sized for the school system. We passed $1.6 billion last year for the school system. Their budget really should be in the ballpark of $2 billion. If you look at our population based off of other jurisdictions, that's the amount of resources we should have. Could you imagine if our school system had another $400 million? Where's Dr. Dent? Is she still here? She got an extra $400 million for the education system. I'm going to use my policies on the economic side of the house to increase our revenue so we can pay and actually bring real change to the school system. Thank you.
It is a North Star, but that is my priority. You need to have a North Star so you can set yourself on a path to get there. Now, I'm realistic, and I know my kids won't benefit from that, but I know my son especially needs smaller class sizes in order to succeed. And I believe every student in Anne Arundel County needs that as well. And they should all have that opportunity. We get there by having a plan, and my administration will put us on a path by establishing a plan so we know what is needed so that we can do right by the zoning code and the requirements. And then to your answer to your question about funding, right? Probably gonna get some daggers thrown at me from behind me, so watch my back. But the Housing Attainability Act, there's some room for improvement. Last week, I spoke at the county council about areas where we can improve that. Like right now, the Housing Attainability Act actually allows developers to get out-of-paying impact fees to schools if they build a certain amount of affordable housing. So you're implying that students that live in homes that are workforce housing don't use public schools. You're just depleting public schools of more resources. And we're already asking our teachers to do more with less. So there's plenty of opportunities out there. We just have to do more digging, and I'm happy to talk more about it one-on-one. But there's opportunities out there to find money where it exists. We just have to look for it.
As a former Board of Education member, I served under the Hsu administration, and Mr. Hsu really wanted the school board, where's Gloria Dent, where's President Dent, to only request what he wanted to fund. The school board that I served on flipped that narrative, and we felt obligated in our duty to inform the public of what was truly needed in our schools to meet the needs and get the educational outcomes for students. So that means we have, at budget time, we don't always get to fully fund what the Board of Education asks for, but at least the public knows what the need is, the true need of our system. So I think we need to continue on that path so we can build this narrative to create the urgency. In 2018, there was a real urgency amongst voters and the public and parents and the school system and the county, the folks that got elected, to bring historic levels of investment to our schools. We are at that time again. I'll tell you, I know we're up here talking about the county executive race, but the decisions we've been able to make that we need to continue to make bold and courageous choices to fund public education, they take at least 4 people on the council. So we need to maintain our majority on the council that value education, as well as elect a county executive that values public education.
Thank you. Before we go to Tim Boston with the next question, I always like to throw something in the middle of it to mix it up a little more. You know, in Anne Arundel County now, I believe there was a time when I felt as though Anne Arundel County was sort of immune from a lot of the federal things that were going on. However, with the infiltration of ICE officers, them coming into Anne Arundel County, them coming into Glen Burnie, coming into the city of Annapolis, and detaining residents of our county. If, as county executive, there is the threat from the federal or state government, because we don't know who our next governor will be, that threatens to withhold funding if you do not comply with what the federal government is currently doing. What would be your response to that initiative?
Let's just say it, let's just name it. The issue today is Trump. The issue today is lawlessness, the lack of due process, and an attack on our most vulnerable neighbors. We have to stand up. We have to stand up because they are currently getting away with lying. They are not detaining the most criminal and violent. They are not. They are taking people off the streets on their way. This is affecting, we have the highest numbers in Anne Arundel County of people being turned over to ICE out of our detention center. We are disproportionately turning over folks to ICE voluntarily. We have an opportunity today, the county executive today can say, hey, detention, we're gonna make ICE do their own work. The state passed the Community Trust Act, but the question is federal funding. I say this like I did with Congress that stood up about TSA. We might have some pain points. We might have some pinch points in budgeting. We cannot sell ourselves down a river of this horrid lack of due process and justice for our neighbors. We may lose a grant. End of story.
I have seen what tyrant leaders look like. I spent time in Iraq. I spent time in Afghanistan, Pakistan, a whole bunch of stands, and I have seen, it's crazy, some of those communities and how they live. And I will say this to you all. Sometimes we have to be willing to stand up and fight a fight. You have to. There's a reason why the civil rights movement was so successful, because a band of people, white, black, and everything else, got together and got hit on the head, got shot at, they starved themselves, they were put in jail, they did whatever they needed to do to work together to make sure tyranny did not overcome their objectives when they were fighting. That's what we need to do. This is our civil rights movement. There is a gentleman in the White House who is, by all stretch of the imagination, not right in the head. And what I will say, it's going to take the people in this room and across this country to stand up every single day to say to them, to say to him, and everyone he empowers, you are not the representative of who we are. You don't represent our values. You don't represent our country. And just like I saw in Afghanistan and Iraq and all these other places, when you fight back, you can actually have change. I'm a fighter. Listen, there was many days that I didn't think I was going to make it here to where I'm at today. But I did, because God had a plan. And I know we had the where's the secret? Where's the grace to that? She was 60, had that gospel song. I was ready to get there and sing with her. And so what was so special about it is we all have a purpose. Live your purpose. Don't be afraid to sacrifice. When it comes to some resources, we will get through it. Even if we have to make a sandwich for our neighbors, we will get through it. And so I would encourage you all, stand up, fight, and don't look back, because we're on the right side of justice when it comes to this issue. Thank you.
Edmund said, I hope I don't mess this up, but he said that evil triumphs when good men do nothing. We're going to stand up and we're going to do what's right. Because how often have we seen at the national level where people fail to speak up? When Donald Trump miraculously won the 2024 election, it was, miraculously. I'm still puzzled by that. But people capitulated so fast, even in the courts. The law was on their side and he just settled. All he had to do was stand up, make him waste his money. There's a lot of simple things we could do. You know, we can stand by the letter of the law here. The law in Maryland especially, we can stick by that. The federal government can't just come in and do what they want when they want. That's what this country was founded on, and we need to embrace that more now than ever. Okay, we need to show our neighbors that we stick up for them. I mean, it's ironic because we're celebrating 250 years this year. This country was founded on banding together despite our differences. It's funny, we just went to Philly for my son's school trip. Despite our differences, we came together, we defended our country, we defended what was right, what we believed in, and here we are repeating history again. Those who fail to learn history are doomed to repeat it. But we don't want to repeat, well, in this case, we do want to repeat history. We want to stand up, we want to fight for what's right and stand on our principles. Thank you.
I'm going to start from the back of the question and kind of move up. But first, just unequivocally, we will stand by our values even if it costs us federal dollars. Like, we just will. We will do that whether we're talking immigration, whether we're talking about DEI policies in our school systems. Like, we're not going to change what we teach our children in order to placate the lunatic that's currently in the White House. It just is not going to happen. We have fought back against Trump before in this county, and we have been successful. One of the things we have done right now in this past budget, we literally have like a Trump contingency fund, where we have a $10 million, and we are treating this kind of like COVID, and it's housed in emergency management, because what's coming from the federal government right now is an emergency, and it's a disaster. And so our team that literally plans for disasters, helping to put together a response to potential federal cuts, but we have contingency funds built in. We have a very, very large rainy day fund. We can outlast this administration, but we will not compromise our values in order to save a dollar here or to save a dollar there. On immigration, I was very proud that one of the first things the Pittman administration did when we came in was in our formal 287G agreement with ICE. So we pulled out of that. I will tell you that whether Governor Moore signs the bill or not, or there's a new governor or not, my administration will not cooperate with ICE. We will not even issue the detainers. If you do not have a warrant, you are not getting people out of Anne Arundel County. A judicial warrant signed by the judge.
Since this is technically a debate, I just think it's important. I think Mr. Smith wants to clarify in the same way, so we'll do a little tag team here. But we do have a robust reserve fund, the rainy day fund in Anne Arundel County. Currently it's maxed at $180 million. We can put 8% in every year of our gross, but it can only be accessed if our projected tax revenues fall short of our estimates. It's not a fund we can just tap into because. It's not a fund we can tap into if the federal government pulls a grant or pulls funding. It is about our tax revenue. There are very serious charter and code provisions around it. I just thought we have a moment to educate. We should do that.
To add to that, that $200 million, about a third of our budget actually comes from the state. And so a lot of the state funding is actually generated from the federal government as well. So that money will go and be depleted very rapidly over a year, maybe a year and a half, depending on what funding is canceled at the federal level that impacts us. We also have a huge employment, DOD employment or federal government employees in this country, and certainly in Maryland. And a lot of that, if they lost their jobs, which they did, 25,000 of them actually were told to resign or they quit. And that had a negative impact on the state economy. And it rolls down here, which means it's going to hit us probably next year. We'll see the effects of that. And so just that rainy day fund may get us through a year, maybe two, but it definitely cannot hold the totality of our budget. Thank you.
Then let's change the law. It's a rainy day fund. It's pouring. We can be creative as a government. If there's something we need to change in order to say, hey, we've got this reserve, let's access to help people in the age of Trump, then that should be on the table.
I'm just gonna tap on here, and I'm tagging. I'm making a pitch for the planning profession here, but I always believe in planning for the best, preparing for the worst. And just keep in mind, I mean, I hate to sound doom and gloomy, but probably hearing the news a lot that we're looking at a financial cliff or economic recession that's coming down. We're already in one. It's just kind of hiding it. But we're looking at a repeat of 2008 or worse. That's what the pundits are saying, right? But in my experience, you need to be prepared for that, both the good and the bad. The good is if you have a plan in place for investments in public services and infrastructure, when that money starts flowing from the federal government because there's pressure to get the economy going again, they want to give grants and money to people who are ready to build. So my dash of hope to you all is to continue to think positively and be prepared for when the opportunities come. If you have a plan in place and you're ready to go, I've written and won tens of millions of dollars worth of grants, right? And that's because we had a plan in place. I've talked to folks that have reviewed grants and said that's how they select grants. So I just want to kind of end on a positive note that you got to do a plan. You got to plan and prepare for the
And I think that the follow-up to the question regarding the loss of that federal fund and hearing the responses, if I got it correctly, with regards to rating the rainy day fund, which would last approximately 18 months. There would have to be some other revenue source that's coming in to replace what you're getting rid of, and that tent, that protection of the rainy day fund that's there. Are you prepared to give us some type of way that you want to raise that revenue? Are you going to, are you saying that you'll consider tax increases? Are you saying that you re-look at the tax cap in the county? How do you replace those funds that you're saying you're willing to commit to the actions of the federal or state government that are requiring you to use those resources?
So the reality is, when the federal government has a budget, the impacts of those budgets really take about a year or two for them to have real full effect. So even if Trump is going to be gone for 2 years, the effects of what he's been doing will hit us in about 2-3 years, even after he's gone. And so having a stable rainy day fund is important for us because we don't know who that next president is going to be. So we got to certainly plan long term. And so for me, it's all the above. That's why I'm focused on doing organic sort of growth with our economy here locally. That's why I want to build an athletic complex here in Anne Arundel County so that it's one of those resources that's going to produce money. That's why I want to build a trade high school because I want to give high school students who are graduating much more significant than Kent North and Kent South. I actually want to produce a workforce that's going to have value the day they graduate high school. I barely graduated high school. I will be honest with you, I had a 2.1 GPA when I graduated high school. Not because I wasn't smart, but because I just didn't have the support systems around me to make it a success. And so I want our county executive, I want to be that county executive that creates support systems in value in the everyday citizen so that they can never have to depend on Trump or the federal government. They're going to be able to resource themselves to be successful. I saw that thing get ready to come out. I was like, let me get ready to go off this thing. Okay. How do you replace the rainy day fund with resources?
Well, I didn't say I was going to deplete the rainy day fund, so that's a scary, and to be quite honest, it's taken a long time to build that. We did have to tap into the revenue reserve fund during the Great Recession, and hopefully we're not headed for that kind of economic decline anytime soon. I don't have a great answer, actually, about how we replace funds coming out of the federal government, especially as they relate to subsidized housing, housing vouchers, all those things. What I would encourage everyone in this room and everybody watching is flipping this Congress, is making sure that in 2028, we don't have the same situation as our president, and we all fight as engaged citizens to turn this country back on the path we were on. Because we needed help before Trump with affordable access to housing and healthcare and food insecurity, and he has exacerbated with his do-nothing majority Congress. So without good leadership at the county, state, and federal level, we've got to engage. We have got to make sure that we elect responsible leadership that takes governing seriously and puts the country, the state, and this county back on a path to sustainability.
I 100% agree with that. And I would say too, isn't it interesting how we can find all the money in the world for wars, but we can never find money for healthcare or to help folks who are struggling here at home. So I agree, we need to put pressure on our national representatives to put pressure on the administration to reprioritize how we spend our funds. That's what we need to do. And I answered part of that question earlier when I said that we need to plan for the best, prepare for the worst. Is again, if we got on a grant, I would say 9 times out of 10 the grant for something capital, right? You can defer a lot of capital stuff, even though it's imminent and it's needed. But if you prepare for it, again, at some point, this administration is going to be gone. History is a constant cycle. There's going to be this effort to want to invest in public services. So I can't stress that enough. Maryland, I was right in the thick of it in 2008, where all this money came from ARA, and Maryland's, all right, what have we got? Crickets. And so I had hoped that we had learned from that. I know I have, and so I've constantly advocated throughout my career that, hey, we need to have a plan in place so that we can be ready to receive and apply those funds. That's how you remain competitive.
No, absolutely. So we didn't say we're going to raid anything or deplete anything, but we're going to have every option on the table. It doesn't make sense to have a rainy day fund if you're not willing to use it when it's literally pouring. And so we're just not going to roll anything out. And you're going to do it responsibly, and you're going to do everything we need to do to make it happen and to remain a fiscally sound county. On the revenue side, I do think the first thing we got to do is, again, at the state level, pass the fair share tax passage. package. And that looks at, again, your largest corporations that are reporting income offshore, so you're not paying any income in the state of Maryland. Even if you look at LLCs that make over $2 million, and you're leaving all like the mom and pop, like local businesses alone, like you're gonna bring an extra, it's like $3 to $4 billion to the state. We literally, our tax revenue, our income revenue is a portion of what the state does. So if you close the loopholes on corporations, we're gonna see more revenue coming in at the county level. So that needs to be looked at right away. But in the context to both of these questions, right? Like if we're saying, are we willing to ask people to pay a little bit more in taxes in order to not throw our neighbors under the bus if the president is trying to hold us hostage, then yes. Like we're gonna have that tough conversation and we're gonna say like, how much can we do from the rainy fund? What does it look like for a little bit adjusting the property tax cap or different things? But in context, if it's, hey, like we're all gonna throw in a little bit, or we're going to literally throw our immigrant neighbors under the bus, or we're gonna stop teaching DEI in schools, or we're gonna do like, then yes, we're gonna have that tough conversation as a society, but we are not gonna capitulate to Donald Trump.
Okay, I know there's some questions that were in the audience. So if there's a question in the audience, if you'll raise your hand, we'll come to you and try to get some of the questions answered.
Hi, I know many of you all register. My name is our overdose numbers are down in Arundel County. Our overdose numbers are down in Anne Arundel County, and I believe that is because of the work that many of us have done together. It is not a time to rest on our laurels unless we want those numbers to go back up. Following the reassignment of Lieutenant Steve Thomas, a decorated officer of 25 years, widely credited with helping build a model that has proven effective in this county, what specific actions, if elected, will you take as county executive to preserve, to strengthen, and to grow a nationally recognized program, internationally I might add, ensuring that officers are empowered to treat non-threatening individuals in crisis with dignity and compassion rather than defaulting to a punitive response of handcuffs? Will you commit to the continuation and the growth of this wonderful resource that we have built in Anne Arundel County?
Absolutely. You are our crisis intervention team, our CIT team, it's literally best in the world. We have all heard that so many times, that they literally do international trainings. And so we've also got to trust the training that we give other people. We've got to trust our men and women in uniform to actually apply the training on the ground. And so the issue here, the disconnect, is when you have best practices, but then you have general policies that sometimes conflict with the best practices. And so what I would commit is, and to the current crowding executive's credit, like he's largely has started this process, and we'll see how it rolls out. But you gotta sit down with your experts in CIT and say, hey, like, what is best practice? And you gotta look at your policy book and say, is there a conflict? Is there anything in our policies that gets in your way of implementing best practice to make the decision there? But I feel this way about police officers and firefighters and teachers too. Like, we've got to empower the people who are on the ground to make the decision. It shouldn't be a policy paper who makes the decision. It shouldn't be a politician. It should be that officer on the ground saying like, hey, is it safe for me to use less force here because of the situation? Or do I need a restraint in order for the safety of everybody involved? We have, again, the best training in the world. We need to trust our people to implement it.
If you all don't know Angel, she truly is an angel. She has, 10 years ago, I was part of that crew that started funding a lot of the programs to get that number. We saw back then that the numbers were spiking with opioid addiction. So we changed policy back then so that folks could take drugs to the fire station and not be criminalized for it. I voted to change some of those policies and add resources to make sure that happened. We get celebrations and celebrations of life for folks every single year who succumb to opioid addictions and died during that process. And so I say that because I've been there on the road fighting with her over the last 12 plus years, trying to make sure we get the numbers down. So I'm not coming to you saying this is what we should do. So yes, we would change policy and put in place and incorporate best practices because I know they work. I'm always going to go personal. My family suffered from drugs. My uncle was a drug dealer. I will 100% tell you that. And so I saw the effects that happened in the community that he impacted. And so that's part of the reason I fight so hard when I saw it, because my family and the women around us were on not drugs, but they suffered from alcohol addiction and things like that. And so we had to combat that. That's why I serve on the board for Christmas House. And for the last 15 years, I've been making sure those women who have opioid addictions or any addictions have the resources they need to be successful. I've been there volunteering, giving my time to make sure those kids, who I was one back then, don't have to go through the same journey and the struggle that I went through. So yes, we're going to make sure we fight every single day to sustain best practices for folks who are medically in a situation that, not criminally, because it's not, it's an illness. And I recognize that. And so that's what you're going to see out of my county executive office. Thank you.
It's good to meet you, and I hope we can have additional dialogue in the future. You can teach me more. But I will say that it's one of many tools in the toolkit that helps to empower communities. And I really believe that when it comes to like law enforcement, that when they're integrated into the community, not integrated just to patrol, but the community knows them, right? There needs to be some kind of consistency. I was blessed, whether it was by design or just by sheer fortune or blessing. When I grew up, we had the same police officers patrol our neighborhood all the time. So as a child, I wasn't perfect. If I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, police officer wasn't quick to, arrest me or pull me over. They'd say like, hey, come on, you know your father wouldn't like that. You know your mom, blah, 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 blah. You're right. They know the community. They know who's ill-intentioned, who's not. And that I think also applies to you in that, and to causes that, they know the folks that are, going through a medical issue versus someone who's doing for various reasons. So I think through enhanced training and enhancing of the program, I don't believe in enhancing that, not to. It's the way to empower our communities to feel safer, feel supported, and to, again, help people get back on the right track. I think it's interesting that we had the APE citation earlier today. That was a great story, and I'd like to see more things like that. That's amazing, and I really applaud that.
I think this week, the last 2 weeks, have been a little eye-opening for a lot of us in this space. Those of us who have known Lieutenant Stephen Thomas as a leader, as a world-renowned trainer across jurisdictions. I think we are very fortunate in Anne Arundel County for the professional law enforcement and the well-respected law enforcement that we have. And the way crisis response and our mental health agency are integrated into that work is modern, quality, respectful policing. There are going to be times when it bumps up against that traditional policing model, and this came to fruition very publicly due to some local journalism, which I think we should applaud local journalism tonight. The Baltimore Banner did an excellent job on that reporting. It's an uncomfortable conversation right now and how we balance keeping everyone safe, including the officers that are responding. But I fully embrace the best practices that how crisis response has been operating for the last decade or so. And I also think we need to make sure that we have really solid training and relationship building continues. And when there are disagreements about policy, we sit around a table and we talk about it before we are reactive and before we make reactive, very negative responses. It was unfortunate. It was unfortunate to see our well-respected, I would say, police leadership act in that way, and I hope we've all learned something from it. I think, as I mentioned the banner, I can't help but mention the Gazette reported today that possibly there's some folks that have been asked to be on that task force that have already decided what's coming to the end of it. That is not acting in good faith. If we're gonna bring subject matter experts around the table to solve complicated problems, we can't have a predetermined outcome. So that is, that's something we all need to learn from, and as we move forward and in a Picker administration, that is what I do best. So thank you.
We'll have one more question. It's going to be more of a rapid response rather than a 30, 45 second. 50.
I want to go back to housing. We have a shortage in our housing supply in the thousands, so we can't approach it slowly. I appreciate the cottage home idea, but it needs to be on steroids, it needs to be multiplied. But part of the problem, if we ever talk to people trying to get anything built or anything done in this town, is that it is a maze and a nightmare. Trying to navigate, trying to get permits, etc. What should take weeks takes months or years, and it's just very discouraging. What will you do? What will your administration do to pick up the pace? So that when you buy the land and then get a house, a tract of land so you can put houses on it so that they can provide affordable housing, you're gonna fire some people, reassign some people, tell the builders, developers, you don't get to hold this up, and we're not building all the mansions up here because affordable housing is here. But what are you going to do with dealing with the people that work for you, that will work in your administration, whoever wins, to get on their job, or as my dad would have said, I'll put it decently, here, get off the pot, okay? Handle your business, or we will replace you so that it becomes efficient.
So, as a councilman, we have 95 days to pass a piece of legislation. If in 95 days we don't pass that piece of legislation, it dies. When we pass a piece of legislation, the county exec has 10 days to sign, veto, or not sign the piece of legislation. And then the effects, the leaders in this county are required to adhere to a timeline. So I have every intention on our administration to make sure our employees and our infrastructure also adheres to a timeline. Nothing we are creating in this county is due. We have built houses before, we built McDonald's before, we built CVS's before, we built everything. And so there's no reason why we can't have a methodical process that allows every single planner and reviewer to execute the exact same way. So you're going to see us hold them to a standard that ensures that they are processing the things efficiently, to include us incorporating technology so that we can automate and identify who and where in the process it's sitting. When I fill out my fitness report as a Marine and I pass it up to my RS, my reporting senior, I can look in Marine Online and see exactly how long he's had it. I want that level of visibility with every single application that's in the system.
Yeah.
I think it's collective work and collective responsibility and accountability. Our government is still too siloed. In some ways it has gotten better, but with the permitting process, you will have so many different departments that have to touch a thing that it just gets passed around, and who's really in charge of it. So you gotta have collective responsibility and collective accountability. I also think this is the area where it's most ripe for some technology efficiencies. AI is not, like that genie's out of the bottle, it's not going anywhere, but there are jurisdictions that have started to use AI to do that first round of review where it's touching 16 different departments and say, hey, are you meeting all the baselines? And it picks it to a human to look at like the interesting parts of the application or the parts that might be gray. So there are technology efficiencies we can have, and again, we can make folks work collectively and hold them accountable collectively. And I mean, ultimately, that's the buck stops at the top in the county exec's office. If you don't go to re-elect us.
So I'm probably not going to say anything you haven't already heard, except one. But yes, like we need to make sure that we don't hold up the review time. But I will say, because I've dealt with developers in my profession too, and hearing their perspective, it's what they don't say sometimes that could also contribute to the problem. we have a responsibility as a county to hold developers accountable, making sure that they're abiding by certain requirements, and sometimes if they submit something that's not up to par, they may be called out, and that might delay them, right? So, I think it's just important to keep that in mind as well. But my fellow candidates up here are absolutely right. There's technologies and processes that we can streamline to make sure that we are not the hold up. And I think if we can do a better job of catching things before they happen to kind of help the developers say, hey, you might want to look at this before you submit. If we have that opportunity, we should do that absolutely just to help streamline the process.
In the Pickard administration, thank you for the question, Reverend Tillett. This is an excellent one. The first 90 days, every department is going to focus on their choke points. They're going to come with ideas and plans and processes where they're going to tell the county executive and a team how we're going to ensure that we're not building homes in the next 5 years. We are losing not only retirees now in the state of Maryland, but we're losing our young families and young professionals to our southern states because they get homes built in 3 to 6 months, and we get homes and developments built in 3 to 6 years. It is atrocious, and if we don't treat people who build things as customers in this county and build a relationship of trust and responsibility, and we're right, we are very siloed. I really want to talk about this for a long time today. Because this is a problem. It's a huge problem.
Thank you. I believe we have reached that moment. I apologize if we couldn't get to all of your questions, but I can almost guarantee, well, I can't because I'm not running for office. I can guarantee that the candidates are going to be here to answer all of your questions before you leave. And they will answer your questions to the best of their ability. What we wanted to do now was to go into our wrap-up, our closing statements from the candidates. They will have 2 minutes each to do their closing statements. We're going in reverse order from where we started, so the longest straw goes first.
I'll try to be brief. In 2006, I started working for a county executive, George Johnson, who was running for county executive. And since then, I have helped every single county executive that has run for office in Anne Arundel County try to win in their November election. I've been there. In 2008, 2009, I was the Young Dems president here in Anne Arundel County. In 2010, 11, I was the treasurer for the Democratic Central Committee. In 2012, I was appointed to the county council and served in a number of different venues in that capacity. Even served in the administration as the veterans liaison. I volunteered for thousands of hours of my time taking care of kids in this area, in this region. I've also volunteered my time to take care of veterans who live in this area, giving them soup drives. We did our soup drive for veterans in March. We did that for a number of years. I say that to say I have been here on the battlefield with every single candidate, for the most part, and all the success that we've had and achieved up to this point. I've been there with you all, fighting with you. And so I'm asking you on June 23rd to look at that experience, not just vote for me because I can walk 50 miles with the sheriff, but I'm really asking you to look at that resume. It is important that you put people in office who are ready to go on day one. Some of us have had to make hard decisions. We've had to vote on hard things and be mad at, and have communities mad at us. We have been in the fight. And I ask you to look at that resume and look at what we've done over the last 20 years of our involvement in this county and say to yourself, who is the most qualified one in this race? We have been doing the job for the last 20 years, and our resume speaks to that. And so I would ask you all to give us an opportunity to serve this county, just like we've served this country and we've served this agency for the number of years. I am ready to lead this county in a direction that's going to be positive for just about every single community. Pete Smith, June 23rd, I'm asking for your vote. We've earned it, and we're going to fight for you just like we fought for everything else in our life. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to be with y'all tonight. I think the topics that were brought up are very timely, and they're also complex. And in that complexity, the next county executive is going to have to work with their peers at the state level, the school board level, at the federal level. I've built that coalition already of leaders that trust me to lead out Anne Arundel County through the next 4 and 8 years. The only thing that's missing is y'all. We have to keep, I'm just gonna say it, we have to keep Anne Arundel blue, not just at the county executive level. We need a council with at least 4, if not 5. Let's expand that majority, and let's make sure at the State House we expand our majority as well. Governing is a team sport, and we are not going to solve these very complex issues if we don't all work together. I've built that team. I'm excited to lead, and I would welcome all of you to Team Picker. Vote June 23rd. Thank you.
So first off, I want to thank you all for coming out tonight and listening to us speak. It's not often that I get a bunch of people to just sit there and listen to me speak for 2 minutes, except they're trying to count to me. But you know, I got into this race because I realized during my 2.5 years, you know, helping to organize my community and working to support my community, that we don't have an equal seat at the table. And my commitment to you all is that you will all feel like you have a seat at the table, but it's important that you occupy it. Don't leave it vacant. Stay involved. Part of the reason why I'm here is because I didn't occupy my seat when I should have. And I fully admit that. You know, I figured it didn't matter what I voted for as long as I told the party line. And I threw Mr. Carl here, like, it's important, June 23rd, who you vote for. Because we agree on 95% of issues, but it's that 5% why we're here today. So I would say that it would be my honor if I could win your trust. I would love to have dialogue with each and every one of you. We're open door. I truly believe in having an open dialogue. And what's really important to me is making sure we build consensus. Because we can't move forward if we don't have everyone on board. In my planning career, I had great mentors who taught me that's how you build consensus and that's how you get successful. You get people involved at the ground level so they don't feel left behind, not at the 11th hour to tell them that we've done all the work already. That's when you get a lot of pushback. So I want to thank you again for coming out. I look forward to hearing from you all, and I really appreciate the discussion and the dialogue that we'll have in the months ahead. Thank you very much.
So I also just want to thank you for being here and thank you for staying all the time. I know it's getting late, but so again, James Kitchen, this is my home. I grew up here. I am raising my kids here. My mom grew up here. My grandparents actually met at YMCA Camp Letts down on the Mayo Peninsula, where, get this, he was, my grandfather was the camp lifeguard at the same time that my grandmother was the camp nurse, right? But what Anne Arundel County has always been for my family, whether it's been my grandparents, my parents, my generation, it's a place where hardworking people can put down roots and build a good life. And I want to keep it that way. And that doesn't happen by accident. It takes hard, intentional work, and that's the work that I want to do. And this election does matter. Who wins this primary does matter. We've got lots of good choices here, but our politics systemically are not working for our communities and they're not working for our people. They're just not. And you can see that in Anne Arundel County. In Anne Arundel County, the Republican Party has lost 8,000 voters since 2021, and the Democratic Party has lost 5,000. So I guess you could say we're doing less bad. But people from both sides of the aisle feel like the party structure, the party machines, often work more for corporations than for communities, often more for donors than for people. And if we're gonna really see true different results, true results for your communities, we have to flip that script. I'm the only one doing our campaign and doing politics truly differently. It's going to allow us to get in there and not have the same things we have to worry about in terms of donors and lobbyists and competing interests. We are going to govern for communities, and we're going to govern for people. We are going to be able to broaden our coalition in November because of that. So again, James Kitchen, I'm running for county executive. I would love your support between now and June, and I ask for your vote in the June primary. Thank you.
I want to thank the Caucus of African American Leaders for sponsoring this debate and forum, as well as thanking the National Coalition of 100 Black Women of Anne Arundel County. I want to remind everyone
that on April the 24th, Friday, April the 24th, the West County Democratic Club will be welcoming Kwesi Nkrumah, Congressman Kwesi Nkrumah, to the annual Parent J. Mitchell dinner being held at 6 p.m. at Club Mead, 6600 Bay Road in Fort Meade, Maryland. I want to thank our panelists for being here today and the questions that they have posed, as well as thanking all of you. The one footnote that I should have started with, as long as it's recorded, I'm fine. I want to be certain that everyone knows that all candidates for county executive were invited to participate in this forum. These were the candidates for county executive that showed up. So with that, thank you all. Turn it back over to the convener, Mr. Snow.
Let's give Gerald Jones and one is for those of you who are going to be in Maryland in August. We are blessed with having the first and only Malcolm X Memorial that will be built in the state of Maryland. That will be unveiled on August 5th, and Malcolm X's daughter will be joining us for that celebration. That is also, I want to share with you again for those who came late. On April 27th, we're going to have the Coretta Scott King Award, where we're going to be honoring women who have made a tremendous contribution in our state. We always end the meetings the same way. For those of you who are brand new, it's going to be a new experience for you, but you'll be okay. You'll live through it. I've told people over and over again, there are two things that Dr. King said over and over again, and it proved to be true. The first was that whenever people of goodwill join hands, we make America better. We can point out one example after another when people of goodwill join hands. Women didn't have the right to vote in 1920. It's because people of goodwill joined hands that gave women the right to vote. African Americans were denied the right to vote. And it was the 1965 Voting Rights Act that gave us this right, this power. So Americans who are registered voters, and I want to thank Ralph Thomas from the NAACP, who have helped to register lots of voters. But something happened to me that I want to just close with. Some of you have already had this experience, but for me, it's the first time. My youngest granddaughter became a mother. And I recognized in listening to her rights that she had just 2 years ago, gone. The right to reproductive freedom didn't exist. The Supreme Court just eliminated it. Who we elect to public office is extraordinarily important. So Dr. King said, whenever we join hands, people of goodwill, we make America better. Nelson Mandela walked out of a prison into the presidency in South Africa because people of goodwill joined hands. A woman that some of you don't even know, quite honestly, would not be alive today had it not been for people of goodwill joining her hands. Her name was Angela Davis. She's 83 years old, and when she was 26 years old, she was threatened to go to the gas chamber. But again, people of goodwill prevented that. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday became a national holiday because of people of goodwill joined hands. I'm pleased to have lived long enough to see a man named Wes Moore become governor in the state of Maryland, something nobody thought could happen, because people of goodwill joined hands. His first message was clear that whenever we join hands, we make America better. But he said, and I repeat, it's not enough. Joining hands and people of goodwill moving forward, he said it's not enough. He said there's something else we need to learn to do, and it's the one thing even today, some 50 plus years after his death, it is not happening. Dr. King said we need to learn to love one another. So wherever you are, please stand for a moment. Wherever you are, please stand. You should be standing next to someone. We're going to make this quick circle. Please form a circle. Circle is one of these round, oval. You should be holding hands with somebody that you perhaps hands with. Please, John, please, sir.
He's probably ready for it too.
Yeah. Now, folks, listen to this and listen to it good. Particularly for those of you who are new, who've never had this experience. There is something true about what I've learned in living. And that is about the eyes are the window to one's soul. When you look people in the eye, you find out who they are. If you look at them long enough, they get uncomfortable. Because when you look people directly in the eye, you see who they are. The eyes are the windows to one's soul. So Dr. King said, when you really want to find out where people are, look them in the eye. So I'm going to ask you to look at your neighbor directly in his or her eyes. Please look in your neighbor's eyes and repeat after me. When you look in your neighbor's eyes, just simply say, I love you. Now I want you to know something, Ben. When I was 14 years old, a girl looked at me just like you looked at Timothy and said, I love you. And the next day she was with somebody else. I really know what love is. You can't fool me. I know what love is. Love is that feeling that you get, that thing that just registers with you when you really love somebody. So one more time, look at your neighbor directly in the eye and you will know whether he or she loves you by what they make you feel. Please look at the neighbor one more time and say, I love you. Reverend Jones will give us the benediction as you're holding hands.
Our benediction is going to come today from the book of Jude. There's only one chapter in the book of Jude, verses 24 and 25. Now to him who said to keep you from falling and present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise God our Savior, be glory, majesty, dominion, power, both now and forever. Let's just find amen. Amen.
This thing again. Can you get it? Oh, it'll work now. Can you separate the pipe?